Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to make this Luna flower pendant with necklace here. It's featuring the Lunasoft Cabs, which you can do in a number of different colors. They catch the light wonderfully, and I'm pairing it with some mermaid glass to again catch that light. We're going to hold it together with Eva beads and crystals, so if you need any materials, go ahead and look below the video in the description. We'll put links there to get back to the website and gather all your supplies, whether or not you want to do this awesome purple one that I'm working with, or even make a blue or a green or a gray, or any of the colors that we have. So gather up your materials and let's get started. So to get started here, I have a 24mm Lunasoft Cab, some Eva beads, some 11O seed beads in two different colors, and some 1.5 by 2mm rondelles in this pretty seafoam green color. In the one that I'm wearing, which I should take off to show you, I used white and blues as well as crystals there. And again, we're going to use some mermaid glass on the piece itself as we're going in. Now, you may be a little bit scared to use the Luna cabs, but rest assured that these Luna cabs are made and manufactured in Germany with high-end resin, and they will not get gummy or have any issues like you may have gotten from another supplier, or they get gummy after a while. That's a low quality resin. Ours come from the original manufacturers in Germany and come right to you here. So I'm going to use the 24mm one, and we are going to start out with a similar rotation of beads. The similar rotation of beads that we're working with is going to be a grouping of 5 beads. So we're going to pick up one of our beads here in our Evas, going through one of the holes. Honestly, it doesn't matter which one you grab. And we are going to grab a purple, a silver, a green, a silver, a purple. From there, we're going to pick up our next Eva bead. Because we're coming out of the top, we're going to go into the top and out the bottom. And now we're going to do that same rotation of beads. We're going to do purple, silver, green, silver, purple into the secondary hole of our Eva beads. So we're basically going up and down, adding in all of those beads, which we will then kind of point together and bring up towards the center to create that nice little netting area. So again, purple, silver, green, silver, purple, Eva bead. Eva bead goes down. Purple, silver, green, silver, purple, Eva bead up. Put on that same rotation of beads in a total group of 8 of your Eva beads. And then again, we're going to turn them all in the same direction as we go in and create that nice bezel that sits around in that floral design. After you get 8 of the Eva beads put on, I'm putting on another grouping of those same 5 beads. I'm going to go back into the Eva bead that my thread was originally coming out of from the top down here. I'm going to add in that same rotation of beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll notice also how I set them up so I can go back and forth just to make myself a more efficient beader. And I'm going up into the bead here and out through that first rondelle. And do you need a rondelle? No, a 2mm bead will work as well too. Either way works. So now you have this huge loop here. Now obviously it's way too big for my Lunasoft Cab to sit inside, but we're going to bring it a little bit tighter to create a nice netting on the interior. On the exterior, to hold the beads in place, we're going to do a little bit of a netting along the back as well too. To bring them up and into place, I'm going to bring my thread and needle to the top and out through the rondelle that sits above the first one of my Eva beads. So the needle goes through there, kind of tightening up the design, out through that first rondelle. As it goes out through that first rondelle, we are going to pick up a collection of the beads here going and hooking onto each of the crystals. That's going to be an 11, 11, 11. So we're going to do silver, purple, silver. Coming out that rondelle right there, I'm going to go in the way that the thread is going through the next one of my rondelles that sits at the top of the in-between of the crystal. Again, silver, purple, silver, catching on to the next rondelle. You can see I'm not too worried right now about pulling it super tight, but as you do pull it, it's going to start to sit nice and next to one another and create that floral look. So 3 seed beads, silver, purple, silver for me. Grab onto the next rondelle that sits on the interior of the Eva bead. Couple more to go, and that's going to cross and form our flower. As you come back to the start and you have your 3 seed beads on, you're going to go back through that first rondelle that your thread was originally coming out of, and I take it back the whole way through the next group of seed beads, out the next rondelle, and as you do so, just kind of push that starter thread out of the way. You can see that it takes its shape into that nice round setting. That round setting is going to sit right on top of that beautiful Luna cab, and we're going to pull those Evas back a little bit with our next grouping of our seed beads. So we're going to tighten this up a tiny bit, and we are going to go from the front basically of the piece to what is going to be the back, going down through the 11s prior to the Eva bead, after the rondelle, going through the Eva bead there. Give a nice tight pull to have a tiny bit of curvature again because we are curving it there as we go around. And what we're going to do is bring our needle and thread to the rondelle along the back, and we're going to create this nice little netted stitch. So from here, take your needle and thread and go up to the rondelle that your thread is currently coming out of. That's going to be between the Evas. So first we connected the rondelles that are in the middle of the Evas. These we're bringing our thread and needle out to the back of the Eva. And here we're going to do basically a little bit of a netting. And the netting is going to consist of some seed beads that line up and go up to the start here. So we're going to end up with 4 of our seed beads, 1, 2, 3, 4 silver. Then we're going to do 1 purple, and then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 silver beads. We're going to go back through that same rondelle that our thread is currently coming out of, and that's going to do a first little loop. Now, we're going to do this a little bit different. In order to pull it to the back, I want you to go up into the first 4 seed beads and out through that first purple bead, that bead number 4. From here, we're going to connect on actually to the next one of our rondelles. To do so, I want you to add 1, 2, and 3 of your silver beads, then 1 of your purple, then 4 of your silver, and you're going to the next rondelle over towards the way that the thread is coming, and you're going to sew through that rondelle but back towards the loop you just made. So see how I'm sewing back towards that loop that I just made. What that's going to do is connect those 2 together. From here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 11-0 seed beads, go up to the purple and back through that purple bead. And that creates your second loop. Now you don't need to worry about it too much right now, but as we do get into like the 6th or so loop, we want to put our cabochon in the middle there. So again, coming out the top here and coming out the purple bead, 1, 2, 3 silvers get added, 1 more purple bead, 1, 2, 3, and 4 silver beads get added. Go to the next rondelle at the top and sew through like you're coming back towards the one that you just finished. From here, add 1, 2, 3, and 4 more 11-0s, and then back through that purple 11-0 seed bead. As you're doing so, give a nice tight pull on the thread, pulling right after that thread break, and you can see that nice netting that's happening along the back that's going to be pulled in towards the center of that Luna cab. So continue on doing all of that with all of these extra little rondelles that sit between the Evas on the exterior. As you're creating, you can see now I'm getting ready to the point where I need to have my piece in the interior. And as I flip over to the exterior, you can see that floral design really starting to take shape. Another option, if you want to, is to have that be reversed, where you have the full showing there of your Lunasoft cab and you almost have a netting on the exterior. So as you go in and create that center round, it'll feel a little floppy because we'll go in and we'll reinforce that center line in the middle and really pull it towards the interior. But just continue on as you get further along, and when you feel like hey, it's getting a little tight and I might not be able to get my cabochon in there, that's when you know it's time to pick up the cabochon and place it in the center. So that way you don't have your netting finished and then realize, oh no, I don't have any way to get my cabochon in. So going along the side there, going back in, and going through all those beads. And make sure to, as you're doing it, that you pull it nice and tight after each one because you don't want any additional little slack in the line. Keep going, connecting to the last one here. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 beads. On goes our 11. 1, 2, 3, and 4 beads here. Back through the last rondelle. Pulling that back towards the back. Giving that a nice tight pull. 4 more beads go on through the 11-0 there. And then what we need to do is connect the start to the finish. So here, there's no more beads here to connect. So I know it's just 1, 2, 3 of my 11-0 seed beads, and then connecting on to that purple 11-0. Now, as you can see, I'm taking my needle and thread through that whole interior line, because no matter how hard you try, it gets a little gappy. And we're going to pull that in nice and tight towards the interior, making sure there's no gaps in our line. Once we do so, we're going to take our needle and thread towards the exterior, and we get to decorate it a little bit with more beads. So I'm going to go through, make sure it's pulled nice and tight there towards that back. Going in and see how that really tightens it up and pulls those Eva beads perfectly. Now what we're going to do is get to the front of the design. We're going to add some beads that go basically on the exterior of the Evas and decorate with a little bit of fringe to add that nice, beautiful sides of your flower. As you bring your cab to the front here, we're going to flip over to this side, and I want you coming out of the rondelle that sits right near the Eva beads. And it's hard with that Lunasoft one, I know, to get kind of the exact coloring and the exact light because of the shimmer and the shine. All right, when we're coming out of the rondelle here, we're going to do a couple beads that sit right over top of our Eva bead, basically. We're going to put on 3 of our 11-0 seed beads in the silver color, 1 in the purple, and 3 in the silver, and so over to the next one of our rondelles that is along the outer edge. And that just puts those seed beads, you want to kind of push them to the front. It's going to push them that they sit right on top of the Eva. So here again, 1, 2, and 3 11s, 1 in the alternative color, 1, 2, 3 11s, over to the next one of my rondelles. Go the whole way around the piece, adding in those extra little seed beads that sit on the exterior right above the Eva beads. As you're finishing up going around the exterior, I'm going to come out through my first purple bead that I just added with those seed beads around the edge. When I'm through there, I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3 more purple beads, go back through that purple bead, and go back through the seed beads after. That creates a little picot trim that sits up and has that little color display there. From here, coming out these seed beads, I want to add 1, 2, and 3 of the seed beads. I'm actually going to add a little bit more color. Let's add 3 of my purple seed beads and then up to the next point. The next point is going to, again, be that purple bead that sits. And see how those purples kind of just decorate the edge? We'll make them pop a little bit more. 1, 2, 3 beads get added, circling around through those 3 beads after. Get that little picot trim on the outside. 1, 2, 3 purple beads and into the next. So you're just going to go the whole way around here, adding those in. Then the last thing we're going to do is come back through, tighten this up by skipping over that center bead there. So go ahead and add your 3 more beads to that, to get that little right angle weave unit out through those 3 seed beads and add 3 purple beads right on top of that green crystal. And as you do this, it kind of pulls those seed beads out to the outer edge and just looks like a little extension of that beautiful flower. As you finish up adding the last 3 beads here, What we're going to do is we're going to go around that whole exterior, going through that line of 7 seed beads. And then as we come out above the rondelle, above that crystal, we're going to go through, let me move that stop thread a little bit. We're going to go through bead number 1 in that grouping of 3 beads. We're going to skip over bead number 2 and we are going to go through bead number 3. As we do that, what's going to happen is it pops that out, pulls it a little bit tighter, and makes it a little bit of a point. Going through then the 7 beads leading up above the crystal, going through bead number 1, skipping bead number 2, going through bead number 3, and then again through that whole line of seed beads. This makes it reinforced. It pulls it flat a little bit, and it also really pulls the beads into the exact place that they need to be as you pull that outer edge. So go around the whole piece here, going through the 7 beads that lie above the Eva bead. And then when you get to the beads that are right on top of the crystal, go through bead 1, skip over bead number 2, go through bead number 3, and around we go. Make sure as you pull that bead pops to the center to get that nice point on all the edges. After making all those points stick up, what we want to do is just get rid of our thread, because I went through and used one of the pieces of the bezel here as my bail to sew through with my beading wire. So I went in and just did the beading wire and tied this off. If you want to do a pendant and you don't want to create kind of a beaded necklace to go along with it, and my beaded necklace is going to be with the amethyst mermaid glass, which has kind of those greenish hues and those purple hues in it. That's why I did the colors that I did. I think it looks fun and cool. You're going to bring your thread and needle right to one of your rondelles right there, and you can create just a little loop or even sew onto a bail. What I need to do is get rid of my starter thread there. And the starter thread that's there, my thread is currently coming out of one of my rondelles. I'm going to go into the back here. I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit more, going through and sewing through just my silver 11-ohs. Once I sew through just my silver 11-ohs, I'm going to put my thread and needle right up towards that starter Ava. See how much I can go in and kind of disguise the knot and knot it off and burn down those thread ends. Here I had a white bead, so I was able to go in and pull the knot back just a little tiny bit towards the back of the piece, and I have it hidden right under there. You can barely see it. From here then, after doing that tightening up, all we need to do is get ready to string our beads onto our piece. Once the piece is finished, it's time to string the design. I'm not going to use any of my purple seed beads because I have that beautiful purple mermaid glass and a fun magnetic clasp, garden clasp, so strong that matches that Lunasoft exactly. I have a crimp tube here. I'm going to put on the crimp tube. I know the pattern I want to do. I know the design I want to do, so I'm starting with the back. You don't have to. You can start at the front if you want and use a bead stopper. And I'm going in and I'm just going to pull a flat crimp. Just flatten out my crimp there. I'm using some 49 strand bead tech wire. And the first thing I'm going to do is put on a purple bead. I'm going to do like I did with the design here of the blue, where I just keep it really simple and do the mermaid glass with the crystal and a silver bead on each side. So mermaid glass goes on. This one I use 6mm. For the purple one, I wanted it to stand out, so I'm using the 8mm, a little bit bigger, and do a crystal, seed bead crystal, onto my next purple bead. And continuing on with the design. As I get to the middle, the only thing that changes up, and I love how kind of the play of color bounces off that green bead there as you're working with it. The only thing that changes up is as we get to the center, we use 16 of our 11-oh seed beads to go right underneath of one of our loops from our cabochons here. Super simple. Once you get to the middle of the design, and I'm keeping mine short, I want it to be about 17 inches. I'm going in and I have my rondelle on there, and then I did 16 beads instead of 1. I'm picking up a nice section of beads right here away from any knots that I see. If you need to, you can use your beading awl or just a little plier to kind of pull that out. Usually it'll go through there and you just kind of pull it out from the beads there. Down and around it goes. Tuck those beads underneath. And there you have the start of that necklace. It almost looks like a fairy tale necklace. Beautiful look. Then back to my crystal rondelle, back to my silver, and back to my mermaid glass. Remember, the mermaid glass also comes in matte finish, which would really highlight and look great with the Luna cabs as well too. So I'm going to keep going in and doing the rest of my beads and then attach to my clasp. When you get to the end of the design, on goes the crimp tube through that nice bead, clasp, back through the crimp tube, back through your 8mm mermaid or 6mm, whatever you want to choose. Nice tight pull to make sure you don't have any extra thread that's within the piece and hiding behind the bead. Once you have that there, go in and grab your needle nose plier. Just do a nice crimp. You can also use thread and needle for this if you want to. Go in and take your cutter, pull up, and there you have this beautiful necklace as well. Look how fun it looks in the 2 different colors and kind of that different glam and glamour that they have. Can't wait to see a lot of your different colors in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Now I get to sport the purple one as well too. So if you want to make one, remember down below the video in the description has links to get back to the site. You can use 6mm, 8mm for the sides and really have fun with colors and color play in this little awesome design. It's quick and pretty easy, and it looks really, really complicated and has a beautiful homemade look to it. Remember, if you do need any supplies, again, below the video description, link there, click it. If you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button and make sure to share your pieces in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.